You may have met someone who made you feel wrong for simply protecting your energy. You weren't rude. You weren't careless. You just said no, and somehow they made you feel like the villain. This pattern isn't coincidence, it's emotional manipulation. Carl Jung called it a form of shadow projection, where people unconsciously push their inner chaos onto those who are more emotionally grounded. I once watched a friend dissolve into tears whenever her partner expressed discomfort. Not because she was deeply hurt, but because it was how she controlled the moment, how she escaped accountability. Neurologically, guilt is one of the strongest motivators in social behavior. Spiritually, it's a karmic trap designed to bind the empath to the wound of another. But remember, real love respects your no. Real connection survives honesty. You were not made to be someone's emotional container. You were made to feel free to speak truth and to still be loved. Some people don't want healing. They want witnesses. You try to help them, offer ideas, encourage, or even sacrifice your time, but nothing changes. And slowly you begin to feel responsible for a life that isn't yours. Carl Jung called this a refusal to confront the shadow. When a person is so entangled in their pain, they unconsciously recruit others to carry it with them. I remember someone I deeply cared for. She wore her heartbreak like armor and pain like identity. Whenever life offered a chance to rise, she chose the safety of suffering. Robert Greene wrote that the victim role is a powerful social strategy. It manipulates sympathy while avoiding responsibility. But my friend, your compassion is a gift, not a leash. There is a sacred difference between support and self-abandonment. You're allowed to walk away, not to punish them, but to stop punishing yourself for not being able to save them. Nice. Some people don't enter your life with red flags. They enter with flowers. They praise your light mirror, your values, and say all the right things until you no longer know where your intuition ends and their charm begins. Carl Jung called this the danger of the persona, the social mask crafted not to express truth, but to manipulate perception. I once trusted someone whose kindness was so perfectly timed it made me question every gut feeling I had ignored. And when I finally needed honesty, they vanished. You see, flattery is not affection, it's a tool and sometimes a trap. Robert Greene warned that charm is a strategy often used to disarm and mislead. Spiritually, this is illusion Maya disguised as love. But you don't owe loyalty to someone's mask. You owe it to your inner knowing. An authentic connection doesn't confuse you. It doesn't disappear when you speak your truth. It sees you and stays. Control never enters loudly. It creeps in disguised as love, checking in, offering advice, claiming it's just care. But over time, you begin to shrink. You pause before speaking. You doubt your own decisions. Carl Jung spoke of the deep fear behind control, the terror of chaos within oneself projected outward onto others. I knew someone who constantly asked where I was, who I was with, not out of connection but out of fear that my freedom meant they were losing relevance. Robert Greene observed that those who cannot master their inner world will attempt to dominate the outer one. Control isn't always aggression. It's often quiet erosion. Spiritually, it's the ego clinging to certainty, strangling the unknown. But real love isn't afraid of your wings. It doesn't cage you to keep you close. It honors your flight. And if someone needs to make you small to feel secure, they were never holding you. They were holding power. There's a silence that follows your success. It doesn't come from humility, but from someone who once celebrated you and now looks away. Envy isn't always loud. Sometimes it hides behind half-hearted praise and subtle criticism. Carl Jung saw envy as the soul's cry of unfulfilled potential, a shadow that arises when we see in others what we've denied in ourselves. I remember sharing a moment I was proud of, eyes lit with joy, only to be met with indifference from someone I thought would be proud too. Robert Greene teaches that envy often disguises itself in passive sabotage from those who secretly resent your rise because it reflects where they haven't gone. Spiritually, envy is a disconnection from purpose. It's forgetting that we each have a unique path. You don't need to dull your shine for those still dimming their own. You weren't born to be tolerated. You were born to awaken, to rise, to radiate. Not all harm is loud. Some of it whispers in the fatigue you can't explain after seeing someone. They don't yell. They don't belittle. But they take your time, your presence, your light. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that those disconnected from their inner source unconsciously seek to feed off others just to feel whole. I once spent hours with someone who never asked how I was, only how much more I could give. I left every time feeling heavy, unclear, like a fog had followed me home. Robert Greene describes this as psychic consumption, where the needy don't seek solutions, only a host. But you are not a power outlet. Your energy is sacred, and the world needs it lit, not leaking. Protect your peace, guard your center. And when you do, you'll see who comes to warm their hands, and who comes to steal your fire. If this message stirred something in you, let it ripple beyond you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's awaken together, subscribe, join the journey, and help protect the sacred spaces of the soul.